Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the search for a missing Calhoun County father and son has ended. And the race to become Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate begins as his campaign starts vetting 3 potential picks. Plus, the next hearing for the 4 former Industrial High School baseball players accused of criminal assault is this morning at 9.
And the subtropical high pressure that was coming off of the Pacific is going to be coming over Texas going into the weekend. And what that means for us, it means the beginning of the heat wave. We'll take a look at that in the weather coming up.
A longtime Hallettsville Sacred Heart coach getting the call to the inaugural TAPS Hall of Fame. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Carolina Astrain.
And I'm Parker Cox.
And today it's the 6th day of June 2024. The time is now 6:31 on our Thursday morning, and today it's Gardening Exercise Day.
Gardening Exercise Day.
So whether you're redoing your whole flower plot or, I don't know, I mean, exercise and gardening, they have a lot in common.
Yep.
It's a moderate cardiovascular activity, gardening is.
Well, it's also a moderately dangerous activity,
yes,
especially
with the
right
heat
now. Yes,
right
because
now.
It is so hot out there, folks. In fact, for your gardening exercise day, it's that time of the year where you step outside for 1 or 2 minutes and you're already sweating. So not the greatest day to go out and garden exercise.
I was sweating bullets when I was just sweeping my porch the other day.
I'm telling you, in fact, this morning, if you're tuning in with us on your garden exercise day, it's a little bit cooler out there this morning and you may want to go out there and enjoy it before it starts heating up today, because we're going to have a hot weekend coming our way. Gonna look at that in just a second, because like I said, right now, look at that sunrise coming up in Victoria. 72 degrees. We're not in the low 80s. We're in the low 70s this morning. Still a little bit warm, but much cooler that you've noticed, but still plenty humid as well, sitting at 97% this morning. So yes, even right now, you might get a little bit of sweat because it's still plenty humid out there right now. But like I said, all of us loving the low 70s, some of the mid 70s as well. Along the immediate coast, you're in the upper 70s and low 80s because you're right next to that warm 85, 86 degree water. Yes, it is still warm. That's because it got high specific heat. But for today, the sun is coming out and the rain is saying goodbye. We're probably not going to have any rain again. At least the chance is not going to come up again until it's probably starting off next week. But going into the late afternoon and the early evening, somewhere out west in the western Crossroad counties, you might get super duper lucky and maybe see one light shower just for a quick moment though. But because with the hot sun beaming today, it's going to be getting pretty hot today. I'm thinking here in Victoria, getting up to about 98, maybe 99, maybe even 100, depending on how light the winds are and how quick the dew point dries off. But out west, look at them. They're going to get to the low 100s, maybe even mid-hundreds, like I said, with that wind for today. So please be careful with the heat, because our heat indices, all of us are going to see above 100. So make sure to be careful, because we got lots more heat still to come this weekend. And we're going to take a look at all that more, though, in just a few more moments. Back to Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. The search for a missing Calhoun County father and son has ended. The Port Lavaca Wave reports the bodies of 50-year-old Benedicto Jaramillo and his 16-year-old son Angel were found Tuesday afternoon. Authorities in Calhoun County confirmed the bodies were found near the old Alcoa plant in Point Comfort by Texas Parks and Wildlife game wardens. The father and son were reported missing Saturday after they didn't return from a shrimping trip near Magnolia Beach. The family has expressed gratitude for the support from everyone who helped in the search, and now they're asking for privacy. The Port Lavaca Wave reports one person died in a crash in Port Lavaca. Police responded to the collision between a car and a motorcycle at around 9:45 p.m. near 1928 West Main Street on Tuesday. First responders transported the driver of the motorcycle to the hospital, where he later died. 2 children and the driver of the car were not hurt. The next hearing for the 4 former Industrial High School baseball players is this morning at 9 in just a few hours. Colin Stumful, Christopher McCrory, Zachary Culture, and Braxton Warren are indicted on charges of organized criminal assault. The incident occurred on a school bus in April 2023. A local community leader hosted an honorary dinner for the winners of the Republican primary season. AJ Louderback goes head-to-head with Stephanie Bassam in November. He responded to comments she made earlier this week when she had an interview with us. She explained this district does not need a leader who leans too far to the left or to the right. And Louderback told us he's willing to hear the other side, but at the end of the day, he is a Republican.
I've always been a listener. I've always been someone who listens to both sides of an argument, but I am definitely conservative, and I'm here to uphold conservative values. This district is clearly conservative, and that's what will remain with me.
AJ Lutterbeck was not the only winning candidate in the room. He was joined by a new Victoria County Commissioner for Precinct 3, Shannon Martin, Calhoun County Sheriff Bobby Vickery, and more. And it's just the beginning of his campaign for the general election. Also, if you missed the one-on-one conversation with Stephanie Basson, that's on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Calhoun County Independent School District plans to continue their seamless summer option food program for students and adults. It runs from June 3rd through July 31st. Plus, Bethany Senior Living is introducing therapy dolls to provide companionship for senior residents with dementia. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. World War II veterans are gathering in France today for the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Events are being held across Normandy, including in the village of Centerville, where British Army paratroopers recreated a drop into the fields of Normandy. And nearby at Benouville, a service to honor the fallen was held at the Pegasus Bridge. Several British and American veterans who took part in the D-Day operations gave speeches, laid wreaths, and listened to their national anthems. This year's celebrations are likely to be the last marked on a grand scale in the presence of those who fought in 1944. We'll go to Washington for more later. New developments in the race for the White House. The race to become Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate begins.
Just days after he appeared to float the idea of putting his political opponents in prison, former President Trump struck a different tone overnight on Fox News.
When Biden goes out, everyone says bye-bye, and then he gets indicted 2 days later and they go after him. The country doesn't want that.
With the convention next month, Trump's so-called Veep stakes is heating up. Sources say the campaign has formally requested vetting information from potential running mates, including North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who has clashed with Trump before.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second...
So cute. Such a cute soundbite.
If Rubio is chosen as Trump's running mate, he may have to move out of Florida. That's because a provision in the Constitution potentially bars the president and VP from sharing the same home state. Meanwhile, a legal victory for Trump yesterday.
We had a big thing happen in Georgia today.
An appeals court has now halted the Georgia election interference case in order to resolve an appeal over an alleged conflict of interest involving DA Fani Willis, stemming from her relationship with a special prosecutor. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We ask you, who would you like to see as Trump's VP? Okay, let's take a look. 5% of you say Doug Burgum, none of you say J.D. Vance, 11% of you say Marco Rubio, and 84% of you say other. Go ahead and comment with who you want to see as Trump's VP. If you pick that other category, you can leave a comment there on our Facebook post with the viewer poll. And we want to keep hearing from y'all all day. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time is now 6:38 on our Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. The search for a new superintendent for Victoria ISD is underway.
President Biden is in France on this 80th anniversary of D-Day. He's honoring the sacrifice it took that day and renewing calls to defend democracy. I'm Christiane Cordero with the details coming up.
And also coming up after the break, we'll take a look at your marine forecast, followed by your weather and health forecast. And later on Sunrise, we'll take another look at that real heat that's coming our way the next few days and the tropics. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're all tuning in with us this morning and looking live in Cuero, and look at that, as that sun's coming up, you can see it's not really cloudy out this morning. Actually nice and sunny, nice and clear. You might see a little bit of haze out there, maybe even also a tad bit of really thin fog because your humidity is at 96%. But other than that, not too bad of a morning, sitting at 72 degrees. I almost said 92, 72 degrees, but we will be in the 90s today. Because looking at your forecast for today here in Victoria, I'm thinking about a high of about 98. We could be at 99, maybe even 100, depending on how light the winds are going to be today and also how fast the dew point dries off going into the afternoon. But it's going to be plenty hot and plenty sunny today with the heat indices for all ranging between 100 and 110 for today. So please make sure to be careful in that heat as we go into this weekend. And with the not too bad of a day, it's not too bad of a day to go fishing out there with your waves just nice and smooth at 1 foot or less, and your winds 5 to 10 knots out of the east. Water temperature still warm at 86. But with the winds not too bad today, grass pollen is going to be moderate, air quality is going to be moderate, and very, very high UV index with that sun. And it's going to have lots more sunshine coming this week. And we're going to take a look at all that more in just a few more moments. And that's it for weather. Now we're going to look at sports with Zach Brown.
A legendary coach from the Hallettsville Sacred Heart finally getting some long overdue recognition. In an article from the Hallettsville Herald Tribune, Pat Hinkie will be inducted into the inaugural TAPS Hall of Fame. Hinkie coached for 41 years for the Sacred Heart Indians. He had a record of 295 and 140 during that time span. He also coached softball, where he won many state titles. In football, he brought the Indians 8 state championships. In softball, he brought them 9. And today is game 1 of the NBA Finals. It's going to be right here on KAVU TV. With your 25 Sports Now, I'm Zach Brown.
Thank you, Zach. All right, we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. Today marks 80 years since Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy in what would liberate France and be pivotal in defeating Hitler and the Nazis in World War II. Among the world leaders in France today to reflect on D-Day is President Biden ahead of his first presidential state visit there.
This morning, President Biden and the First Lady arriving in Normandy where 80 years ago today, the first of what would be 160,000 Allied troops stepped onto the sand beneath the English Channel and into a course that would forever change history.
People say, how did you get off that boat and go in on the beach? There was a job had to be done. Somebody had to do it. We did it.
D-Day is among the most humbling examples that freedom isn't free. 2,500 Americans were killed in the operation on June 6, 1944. Today, Normandy is hosting world leaders and the survivors, now ranging between 96 and 107 years old. They remember.
I've never seen as many dead men on the beaches as I've ever seen. You couldn't stop and help anybody because they kept hollering, get off the beach, and get set to go fire those guns.
As do the riveters who helped fuel the U.S. efforts.
The airplanes, the tanks, the ammunition, the landing craft.
And made history of her own. The number of World War II heroes with first-hand accounts is dwindling, with fewer than 1% still alive. World leaders in Normandy today are amplifying the significance of their fight. Taking full opportunity, President Biden in stride with his re-election campaign and as 2 wars grip countries overseas.
He'll talk about the stakes of that moment, an existential fight between dictatorship and freedom. He'll talk about the men who scaled those cliffs and how they put themselves behind, they put the country ahead of themselves. And he'll talk about the dangers of isolationism.
While in France, President Biden is expected to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He and the First Lady will also be honored by French President Emmanuel Macron with a state visit. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
The search for a new superintendent for Victoria ISD is officially underway. The Victoria ISD board decided to allow 3 employment search firms to present to the board on how they will help find the next superintendent. The board will invite Powell Law Group, JG Consulting, and JCA Law PLLC to make presentations during the upcoming June 10th board meeting. Board President Mike Mercer says it's a big step in the right direction to finding a new district leader.
What we're looking at now is getting these presentations, and if we can find, if one of the 3 that presents checks off all the buckets, checks off all the list for us, then we can move forward with that firm if the board so chooses.
The board president said from this point it takes about 4 to 6 months before a lone candidate is chosen. The time is now 6:46 on our Thursday morning. Still to come, Boeing has launched the first crewed mission of its Starliner capsule. Okay, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday and anniversary to Jessica and Dwayne. Wishing you both a happy birthday. Maybe they share a birthday, Parker. And anniversary with many more years of loving to come from your longest loving friend, Shannon.
That's
Aww.
so sweet. Happy birthday and anniversary, y'all. And happy birthday to Modern Family star Aubrey Anderson Emmons. The actress is turning 17 today. Happy birthday, Aubrey.
She played Lily
Oh, did she?
in Modern Family.
Oh, did she? I didn't know about that.
She was a little girl.
Oh,
And the Holdovers Oscar nominee, Paul Giamatti, with a birthday today. He's 57.
ooh, happy birthday, Paul. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com. Click on more, and under home, you'll see KVU to submit your birthday.
All right, the time is now 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today.
That's right. Happy birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. Like I've been saying all week, the heat is on and it's officially beginning today. In fact, look at your high temperatures for today. Look at all across the hot state of Texas. All of us, lots of us in the hundreds, I should say. Here in Victoria, though, I think we could maybe see 100 degrees. It's going to be for like a very split moment, though, and that's going to be dependent on how light the winds are and how quick the dew point dries off for today. But looking at temperatures for the next 5 days, this is for Victoria. I should remind you, out west, y'all could be in the low to mid 100s, up to 105 over the next few days. But here in Victoria, going to be in the upper 90s. Average high is usually 91 this time of year. But look at that. There's going to be a slight cool down to start off next week. But until then, make sure to be safe with the heat. Looking at your heat safety tips. Stay hydrated and take frequent breaks, especially if you're working outside and you've got lots of strenuous outdoor activities. Try to limit that as well. Also, make sure to try and check on your elderly and your pets, maybe even your next door neighbors as well. But all this heat is coming from the subtropical high that just exited the Pacific, and it's going to be turning over into Texas over the next few days. And that's what's going to bring back the Dome of Doom. But that also opens the door for any tropical activity. Good news is there's nothing out there right now, not even anything by the National Hurricane Center. But there is one little area I've got my eye on that's going to be going into late next week. We're going to take a look at all of that more, though, in just a few more moments. Back to Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. Boeing has launched its first crewed mission of its Starliner capsule. The test flight is a major milestone for the project, which had faced several delays. The Starliner, developed in partnership with NASA, is designed to ferry astronauts to and from the International Space Station. Before takeoff, 2 additional helium leaks were detected, but NASA and Boeing deemed the leaks acceptable prior to takeoff. The capsule is expected to dock with the ISS just after noon today. Antidepressants can do wonders for persistent mental health problems, but some people may be reluctant to take the medication. Some fear what could happen if they want to stop taking them one day. That risk has now been quantified thanks to a new review of 79 studies totaling more than 21,000 adult participants. Roughly 15% of those who discontinued antidepressants experienced withdrawal symptoms. The review, published Wednesday in the journal The Lancet Psychiatry, says 1 in 35 participants experience severe symptoms once they stop taking antidepressants. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. Severe weather turned deadly in Michigan. Officials in Gaza say several people have been killed and wounded in an Israeli airstrike at a UN-run school housing displaced Palestinians in the heart of the enclave. Hospital officials say at least 45 people are dead and fear the number could rise. The Israeli military confirmed it carried out the strike, saying it targeted a Hamas compound operating inside the school in Nuseirat. The IDF said it took many measures to minimize the danger to civilians. Severe weather turned deadly in Livonia, Michigan Wednesday. A 2-year-old boy died and his mother is in critical condition after a tree crashed through the roof of their home. The storm uprooted multiple trees in the area, including a massive 4-trunk tree that fell through the bedroom onto a bed where the mother and her baby were lying. Crews worked for over an hour, removing parts of the tree and lifting the tree with high-pressured airbags to get the victims. The first responders pronounced the 2-year-old boy deceased at the scene. It's just a matter of days before the full reopening of the 70-foot wide Fort McHenry Channel after the collapse of the Key Bridge in Baltimore. The final large steel truss that blocked the passageway has now been removed. This expands the width of the channel to allow all ships in and out of the Port of Baltimore. The expected date for the reopening of the full channel is June 10th. In March, a cargo ship named Dali struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, forcing its collapse into the Patapsco River. The crash killed 6 construction workers who were on the bridge at the time of the collapse. A political consultant made his first court appearance in New Hampshire Wednesday for robocalls that used a deep-fake AI voice message to sound like President Biden. Stephen Kramer is facing multiple felony counts of voter suppression and several misdemeanor counts of impersonation of a candidate. Robocalls used an AI-generated voice impersonating Biden to encourage voters not to vote on the primary and to save their vote for November. Kramer pled not guilty to the charges. He previously admitted that he was behind the calls. The attorney for the family of Micah Miller is urging South Carolina lawmakers to pass a revamp of a coercive control bill that's been buried in the legislature for years. Miller was in the middle of divorce proceedings from her estranged husband, John Paul, when she died by suicide on April 27th. The attorney says Micah's law is known as the coercive control law. The bill refers to a pattern of behavior used to intimidate another person, including threats and emotional abuse. Her sister claims Micah said she experienced abuse and violence from John Paul, who has not been charged in relation to her death. Plans are underway by financiers to introduce a new stock exchange in Texas. The group announced on Wednesday that they've raised $120 million in funding to open a stock exchange in Dallas this year. Read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And speaking of fire, Parker, you're saying it's going to be quite hot out there, and we've got a clear sunrise for the first time in a while.
That is right, Carolina. Look, I'm going to get out of the way so you can finally see your first sunny sunrise at the last. It's been a long time since we've seen one of those, but it is a very beautiful sunrise coming over Port Lavaca this morning. And you may have noticed, I don't know why it says it's raining. It is definitely not raining out there. We're going to have rain for a bit. 76 degrees out there. You may have noticed it's a little bit cooler. And still, oh, look, there we go. It just fixed itself. Still a little bit humid, though, sitting about 92% this morning. But looking at your clouds, you just saw no clouds. What clouds out there, Parker? Nothing out there. In fact, that's going to stay like that for the rest of this week, and getting plenty sunny and hot today, getting up to about 98 here in Victoria. Out west, though, in Query, y'all might be about a degree hotter, getting up to about 99, and Port Lavaca a little bit cooler, right around 94 for today. But some of us could be in the low to mid hundreds, up to 105 possibly on the western crossroads over the next few days. So make sure to please be careful and stay hydrated in that heat.
Seems like it could be a good day to take out the drone if you're a drone pilot.
Yeah.
Just not for too long, because it is very hot out there.
Yes, very hot.
And we want to thank y'all for joining us. Have a wonderful Thursday. Remember, follow us on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, and join Karina, Don, Mac, and Zach today for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10.